Welcome back to Funimation 3D on Kids and Family Cartoon, where every story is a new adventure filled with kindness, laughter, and lessons that help children grow emotionally and socially. Today's episode is about how small acts of kindness can explode into something big, beautiful, and life-changing. This is the Kindness Jar Explosion. In Mrs. Carter's class at Maplewood Elementary, kindness was not just a word, it was a way of life. Every week, Mrs. Carter would remind her students to do something kind for others, big or small. But one day, after hearing one too many complaints about not getting enough recess time or being picked last for games, Mrs. Carter decided it was time to turn kindness into something tangible. "All right, class," she said one bright Monday morning, holding up a large glass jar. "This is the kindness jar. From today on, whenever you do something kind, you'll write it on a slip of paper and add it to the jar." The kids looked at the jar curiously. The more kindness we add, the more we'll see how much good we've done. And once the jar is full, we'll have a special celebration. The class buzzed with excitement. What kind of celebration would it be? A pizza party? A movie day? Everyone had different guesses, but Mrs. Carter just smiled mysteriously. "Let's see how much kindness we can fit in here," she said. The next day, something magical began to happen. At first, the kids weren't sure how to contribute to the jar, but as the week went on, their small acts of kindness grew in number. Mia opened the door for Jason and smiled at him. "Kindness jar," she said, proudly slipping a note into the glass jar. Jason was next. He noticed that his friend Oliver had dropped his pencil case. He picked it up and handed it back to him. "Kindness jar," Jason said, adding another note. Ben noticed his friend Leo looking down and feeling sad. "Hey Leo, want to play a game with me?" he asked. Leo's face lit up and he agreed. "Kindness jar," Ben said as he walked by the jar with a smile. By Friday, the jar was half full and the classroom was buzzing with excitement. It wasn't just about the jar anymore. It was about noticing how much good they could do for each other. But then came the challenge. It was Friday afternoon, and the class had only one more hour before the bell rang. "That's it," Mrs. Carter said, her voice filled with suspense. "We need to fill the jar completely before school ends. Who can do it?" The class gasped. They had so many kind acts to be proud of. But could they fill the jar in 1 hour? Jason raised his hand. "I can help clean the board," he said. Mia rushed over to help him. "I'll wipe down the desks." "Let's all pick up trash from the floor," Ben suggested. "Wait, don't forget to help each other with homework," Oliver reminded them. And soon the entire class was moving, helping, smiling, and doing everything they could to finish filling the jar. Mrs. Carter watched with a proud smile. She could see that the children weren't just adding notes to the jar, they were learning what it felt like to be part of something bigger than themselves. But then, something unexpected happened. As the last note was about to be added, Jason, who had been jumping up and down in excitement, accidentally knocked the jar over while trying to add his final slip of paper. The jar tipped and fell, scattering slips of paper everywhere. For a moment, everything went silent. Then, bang! The jar exploded with kindness. The papers flew into the air like confetti, and the kids gasped in surprise. Hundreds of little notes fluttered all around them, and the classroom erupted with laughter and cheers. The kindness jar had exploded in the best way possible. "Look at all this kindness," Mia said, laughing. "This is better than any party," Ben added. Mrs. Carter smiled as she picked up the jar and showed the class all the notes floating around them. "This," she said softly, "is how kindness multiplies. Every act of kindness you do has the power to spread and grow. Today, you've shown me just how much love you have to share." The class stood there, taking in the moment. They were surrounded by the physical proof of their good deeds, floating in the air around them. "What happens now?" Jason asked, his eyes wide. Mrs. Carter put a hand on his shoulder. "Now we celebrate, of course. Let's spend the next hour sharing our favorite moments of kindness from this week." As the class settled into a circle, they shared stories about helping their parents, comforting a friend, or simply making someone smile. Each story added more warmth to the room. The explosion of kindness wasn't over yet. At the end of the day, Mrs. Carter said, "Because of all the kindness you've shown, I have a surprise for you all. Tomorrow, we'll have a kindness day, a whole day dedicated to sharing good deeds and doing what we can to make each other's lives better." The class cheered. They had learned something even more important than filling a jar. They had learned that kindness was limitless, that it could grow and multiply with every small act, and they couldn't wait to see how much more they could share. And that's the story of the kindness jar explosion, a reminder that kindness can explode in the best way possible when we share it with others. Thank you for joining us on Funimation 3D Kids and Family Cartoon. If today's story made you smile, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so we can bring you more magical adventures filled with heart and kindness. See you next time.